Sugar Daddy Podcast, yo. Learn how to make them pockets grow. Financial freedom's where we go. Smart investments, money flow.
We are going to start with a little rip and rant because I always tell Brandon he needs to be creating more content. He needs to be showing his face more on Instagram, on socials, and it's just not his thing. It's not how he operates. But when we're standing in the kitchen, when we're driving in the car, he wants to talk about all the things. And I was like, you know what? Maybe you don't go on Instagram and make a video, but maybe we record a rip and rant segment where that's what it is. You just rip and rant because you have a lot to say and other people need to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, this is something a little new that we're trying to do because, like she said, she gets on me constantly all the time for not showing my face on our Instagram enough.
I do.
And, I mean, it's true, but yeah, let's try it out.
Let's get into it. Okay. One of the first things that he has been ripping and ranting about is taxes.
Yeah, because I feel like every year during elections, taxes is always a big talking point. We're going to lower taxes. We're going to lower taxes. In case you guys don't actually know, newsflash, taxes are at an all-time low.
Newsflash.
If you look at the past 100 years, taxes are basically at an all-time low.
So taxes are not the problem.
Issue. They're not the issue. You know, if you can't continue to lower taxes and expect certain programs to improve because our tax money is what funds a lot of it's what funds all the government programs.
So then if it's not the taxes, what is the problem?
The problem is corporations not paying people. It's very simple.
Yeah.
Due to the cost increase of goods and everything that we pay for, if you look at the increase of that in comparison to the increase of salaries, it's nowhere close. Nowhere close.
Well, and the disparity, right, between the top executives
100%.
and then the lowest level of employees, which I know other countries have put guardrails in place so that your top executives aren't making 7,000% more than your lowest paid employee.
If you go back like 30, 40, 50 years and you look at the lowest paid person at a corporation compared to the CEO, and now compare that to today, the lowest person, what they make compared to the CEO, like it's 1,000x more what the CEOs are making. So it's not a matter of, oh, taxes need to be lower so you can keep more of your money. Obviously, we want to keep more of our money, but taxes are at all-time low. It's not my opinion, it's facts.
Well, if the federal minimum wage is $7.25 and it hasn't been increased in a bajillion years, and the, lowest paid employee at McDonald's is making $7.25 and the CEO is making $30 million, hello?
It's like simply over the past 4 or 5 years, simply look at how much the average person was making from an income standpoint, and then compare it to how much the average CEO is making, and see what the increase has been there for the past 5 years.
Right.
While they're saying that, profits aren't the same, blah, 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 CEOs' salaries continue to increase.
Yes,
but the average
they do.
person's salaries are not increasing.
And even if their salaries, quote unquote, aren't increasing,
their overall compensation
comp package, exactly. I work in tech, and I know our CEO makes well over $30 million a year, and that's insanity. Now, obviously, many people, not all people at the company, but many people, do earn high wages. But I'm not making $30 million a year.
I wish.
Yeah. I don't know that we would be doing this podcast if I was.
Probably not. We could.
We would be in Bora Bora. Yes. Oh, yeah. In our over-the-water hut in Bora Bora recording.
But the thing is it's having the conversation about constantly talking about who's going to lower taxes more is simply the distraction from the reality of us not being paid enough from our salaries.
Yeah.
And it's
especially, we're in an election year, and so it's coming up all the time.
It's stupid because we're arguing with each other about it.
Yeah.
We're simply arguing with our peers about taxes, when in reality we should all collectively be grouping together and demanding more from our employers.
Demand more. Yeah, absolutely.
So do me a favor, and please look at the historical tax rates for the past 20, 30, 40 years. And I'm going to even take it a step further. The time period that, a certain demographics talking about make America great again, and the time period that they're really referring to, post-World War II and Reagan era and stuff like that, look at the highest tax bracket during that time period. Right after post-World War II, when quote-unquote America was thriving, the middle class was creating all that stuff, the highest marginal tax bracket was 90%.
That's
but
insanity.
people were still thriving.
Right.
because they were making more.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not the taxes that are the issue. Now, obviously, you always want to focus on some aspects of taxes because you want to keep as much money as possible, but you also need to make more money.
Yeah, we need to make more, and the cost of goods needs to stop increasing by 70 times year over year when, again, our wages are not keeping up.
Like I said, look at how much people are paying for housing as far as like owning a home and also rent, how much that has increased over the past 4 years, and has that same percentage increase happened for your salary? No,
Right.
It has not.
All right. That was his rip and rant on taxes, y'all. Okay, let's talk about tariffs. And I know this has come up in one of our recent episodes, but talk to us about tariffs and how you feel and why you're pissed.
Well, first of all, it's the definition of what a tariff is.
Tell us.
A tariff is a tax on a company that is importing goods from another country.
Yep.
All right? So, for example, we're going to use China because that's the one that always comes up. A company wants to use something that is made in China, so they're importing it to the United States in order to use it. China is not paying that tax.
We are.
The company. No, the company.
Oh, the company.
The company
Okay,
that
okay.
imports it. So if it's an American company importing that from China into the United States, the American company is the one paying the tax. China's not paying the tax.
Yeah, but then if the company is getting charged more, they're going to try to offset that cost.
100%.
And then it comes down to the consumer.
Any company, it doesn't even matter if we're talking about tariffs, a company's price is based off of their overhead.
Right.
So if you're increasing their overhead, that cost is going to be trickled down to the consumer.
Yeah.
So putting more tariffs on goods or whatever it may be is going to simply result in
Us
you as a regular
paying
person,
more.
consumer, paying more. It's basic. It's simple. It's not even like a form of contention if you ask any economist.
Well, but also what's interesting is Trump is like, oh, we're going to increase the tariffs. We're going to increase the tariffs.
Great. It's going to increase what you pay.
Right. And then also think about all the things that we are getting from China and other countries. We do not, even when we're trying to be really intentional about buying things made in the United States, that is really difficult.
Well, the thing is, too, here's the thing, is that you could buy something that is made in the United States, but it has parts made in another country.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
even though it's an American company and their products are assembled, per se, in America, they might have parts that come from different countries.
Right.
So, therefore, they're paying more for a part that would maybe come from China, and that's going to be trickled down into how much they charge you, and it's going to cost more. Plain and simple. It's not anybody that knows anything
Anybody that knows anything
understands this principle. So if you think that that's a good idea to increase tariffs and that's going to somehow hurt China, it doesn't. It's going to hurt the American company, aka trickle down to you as a consumer paying more. If you're already complaining,
and we're already paying
if you're already
more on
complaining
everything.
About, inflation. This is not the solution.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Plain
Like I said,
and simple.
China does not pay the tariff. The company that imports the good is who's paying the tariff, aka trickle down to you. You're paying the tariff. That's what it boils down to. You pay the tariff.
Yeah. All right. Rip and rant on tariffs. Woo! Okay. All right. Let's do a rip and rant on another hot topic in our household. Social Security. And specifically, Social Security taxes, right?
All right. So
Because Brandon has a lot of strong feelings, y'all.
So currently, your Social Security is taxed.
Okay.
All right? Obviously, I think it's crap that your Social Security is taxed in general because you've already paid taxes on it. But this is how it works, and it is what it is at this moment in time.
Okay.
But for you to listen to any politician that say that currently they're not going to tax Social Security,
And by any politician, he right now means Donald Trump.
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Because Social Security that is being
Social
paid
Security's
out.
in trouble right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Because Social Security is in trouble because it was never managed properly, and currently what we are paying into Social Security, which you would think would be put away for us when we get older and we need it, it's not. It's currently funding those individuals who are currently on Social Security and receiving payments.
And I mean, are we gonna have anything left for when we actually want Social Security? Because there's a huge chunk of my paycheck that comes out for Social Security
I don't know.
every paycheck.
I don't
and
know.
I don't feel like I'm going to have access to that money because it's going to be gone.
So when I do the planning with clients, I don't factor in Social Security.
Right.
It would be a nice, icing
A
on top of the
bonus,
cake.
yes.
But I don't plan it as part of the. I don't include it part of the plan. And the thing is that the Boomer generation, which is currently the largest population taking Social Security, is that you would think that with that large population in that generation that it would continue that growth when actually.
People have stopped having children.
And it's decreased, and that's for a whole nother rip and rant. But you have more people taking it right now than what's actually currently kind of going into it.
AKA, it's going to run out.
Exactly. Right now, it's 2035, I think, is like what they're estimating it would be exhausted. Now, obviously, they have to do something to prevent that from occurring because all hell would break loose if
Right.
people didn't get their Social Security, because the majority of people that are on Social Security, they are dependent upon that to live. And if they don't have it, they will not be able to take care of their monthly bills.
Yeah.
But you can't say that, hey, we have a failing program and what's currently helping to fund it, we're going to pull that away. And taxes are helping to fund that program. So we're already failing, but like, let's go ahead and take away another revenue stream that's going into that.
Yeah.
It's not feasible.
All right. So another thing we're not going to be able to do.
The thing is that people need to take a step back and not just listen to what politicians say. They also need to figure out, hey,
You should never listen to just what politicians say without doing research. Right.
Oh, I would love, it's like a politician's like, oh, we're going to give everybody $1 million. Yeah, I would love that. Where the hell is that money going to come from?
Right.
Like, you got to stop, you got to think.
Stop and think.
You have to
Pause and think.
Use your brain and think about, like,
We
it
know
sounds
people are
great.
not using their brains.
It sounds great, but is this feasible? Because, like I said, even I'm gonna jump to the other side also, because like even with student loan debt forgiveness, I've always said that's a great idea, never going to happen.
Yeah.
I've always said this because it's not feasible in the way that they're saying it.
Well, I love that the government clearly is, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, but they're over here handing out credit scores and
Yeah.
shutting down programs that help people. And it's like, okay, can you do what you're supposed to, because you are not managing our money that you take out of every single paycheck that we get correctly. Like if the
budgeting
government,
101.
right.
Budgeting 101, have a balanced budget.
Have we ever?
No.
It's insane.
I mean, at one point, I can't say there have been points in time in history where we actually have had a surplus, but that quickly goes away.
How many points in history?
I mean, in our modern time of like us being alive and really, being able to vote, I wasn't able to vote during this time period, but during Clinton's time frame, there was a surplus.
Okay, and that was ages ago
Yeah.
at this point.
Obviously, we weren't old enough to vote for that.
Yeah. Okay, so that is a rip and rant on Social Security. And if you are thinking about your Social Security as you're getting a payout when it's time for us to retire, you need to take that out of your plan, because right now that money is not existing
Yeah,
for
like
us.
I said, I hope that in some form that it's there, but I wouldn't bank. I don't build it into a plan. If it's
Yeah.
there, extra bonus, great. But if not, you're good to go.
Okay. Let's do a rip and rant on one of your other favorite topics, which is how the government wants to keep you broke and scared and uneducated. That's a big one. Talk about it, baby.
I always say that. At least I'm going to speak specifically about the United States. The United States has the infrastructure, and even though we're quote unquote in a deficit, we have the money to fix a lot of the problems that plague so many people. But they don't want to. It's plain and simple. And once you understand that and process that, you can move through life much easier, because you're always like, oh, the government's going to save me, the government's going to do this, the government's great. I think people are realizing that obviously that's not the case,
Yeah.
because
Hey, newsflash, nobody's coming to save you.
no.
Nobody.
Because the problem is that most people think that a lot of the systems in the United States aren't working, are failing. They're
Yeah.
not. They're working exactly how those
They are meant to
intended
work.
them to work.
Exactly. And that's the sad part, because they are not set up to make us successful.
No.
That's not the point.
Not at all.
And that's the sad part. But when people don't realize that, when you are thinking like, oh, this program is going to save me, this thing is going to save me, no, baby girl, it's not.
Here's the reality: is that in order to have the 1%, you have to have the other 99% that's not there. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And also,
And there's that sense of control, right? What is the government trying to do?
it's easier to control people when they're uneducated and scared.
And poor.
And poor, because
Uneducated, scared, and
if you're
poor.
so busy worrying about where your next meal is going to come from, you're living paycheck to paycheck. You're worrying about, am I going to have a roof over my head, tomorrow? You don't have time to think about all the other things that the government's doing.
Right.
It's plain and simple. It's done
Because you're
on
focused on your
purpose.
immediate needs.
Yeah.
And you're not, in those situations, you don't have the capacity to be like, ooh, I should put my money in a high yield savings account. I should be investing because Social Security is going to run out by the time I should be able to cash in on it.
Also, fear. You have a higher reaction to fear than you do to happiness.
Yes. Oh, that's
So that's why
true.
they always want to keep people in fear. It's always a fear of this, a fear of that, a fear of that, and that's how they control people.
Well,
it's easier to control someone that's fearful than think of the person who isn't scared of anything.
Right. They're like,
They have
whatever. They
nothing to
live in
lose,
life.
nothing to lose,
Living the best
not
life.
worried about anything. That's the person you can't control.
Yeah.
As compared to somebody that has money issues, they're fearful of this, they're fearful of that. That's an easy person to control.
And, well, control, in a way, manipulate. But I was also going to say it allows the government to keep us distracted,
Oh yeah.
right?
Also, the thing is too is that, like I said, it's also the education piece.
Yes.
I mean, if you just look at history, education has always been a tool that they had tried to take away from you in order to control you. Look
Yes.
throughout history. There's a reason why during Nazi Germany they burned books.
Yep.
It's shown history has shown you exactly what has happened, but we still refuse to acknowledge it. And right now we are going through a period of time where if you look at I'm not saying that so and so is Hitler. That's not what I'm saying. But if you look at what happened leading up to World War II with Nazi Germany and some of the things they did, it is mirroring literally what we are doing right now in the United States. You can get mad at me and say that I'm being extreme. I'm a history person. Look it up.
Yeah.
The fact that we are trying
Well, and
to
it's that
get rid of
little-
all these books
And the
for all-
education, the public
and
education
trying to
system
defund
and the
defund the
Department of Education. That is terrifying. Where are all of these kids in public schools supposed to go?
Exactly.
What is going to happen to the parents who are already struggling and working? And let's call it what it is. Public education for some is childcare. What are they going to do when there's no more schools for their kids to go to?
And also the thing is,
That's
too,
a problem.
Also the thing is too, you need to think about it this way, all right? They're also not stating that they have something to replace it.
There are no replacements. There
I have
is
not
no
heard
plan.
it. I have not heard
There
anybody
is
say,
no
"Hey,
plan.
we are going to get rid of the Department of Education, and this is what we're going to replace it with." I've yet to hear that. And if you found that information, please send it our way. All I hear is we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of this. No plans of what they do to replace it, because guess what? They probably don't have a plan to replace it. And it's
Concepts
not,
of a plan?
And if they do, it's
Concepts
not,
of a plan?
it's not to benefit you.
Yeah. Unbelievable. That is truly terrifying. Really, really terrifying.
And this is coming from, Jess was a teacher for 7 years. My mom was an educator for over 30 years. So, this is something that we are definitely passionate about.
Our kids go to public school. We
It's
believe in public school education. We believe in teachers. Teachers should be paid more. All the things. That is
Yeah.
our stance. Absolutely. All right, we're going to rip and rant about people who sign up for courses, never take the courses, buy the books, never read the books, buy the audiobook, never listen to the audiobook. People who are not taking action, even though deep down they want to change their situation. What is your rip and rant on people who are not taking action to actually improve their situation?
So, my personal take is that I think everyone that does that has nothing but the best intentions, honestly.
Good intentions.
They have great intentions on what they want to do. It's just a matter of, one, life gets in the way.
Yep.
So we are just busy, inundated with so many other things that we need to do, and that just kind of gets pushed to the way back.
Because,
right?
but
'Cause
does
you
it
think-
get pushed to the way back because it's not technically a priority?
I
Because
think-
people make time for what is important to them?
I do. I think people have, like I said, best intentions, but they always think that I can do it later. I can
Yes,
do it later. I
later.
can do it later. I can do it, and later never comes.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking anybody because we've all done this in certain aspects. But I also think 99% of people need someone to hold their hand and guide them through the process.
Yeah. And hold them accountable.
And hold them accountable. And I think there's a lot of reasons why people don't want to work with an individual. It's because they're not fully vested in actually doing the action.
Oh,
And
so
so-
they don't want the accountability
They don't
partner.
want the accountability because they don't want to let down the person and then be judged for not doing it.
Oh. Well, it's like, you sign up to do a gym class with a buddy and it's like, oh, I really don't want to work out at 5:30 in the morning,
But I
I don't want to disappoint so-and-so, so I'm going to show up.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so some people you don't reach out to me or you don't want to work with me because then I'm going to force you to do the work.
Yeah.
And I don't
Well,
know if
also
you're
you're
ready to.
paying for it. So
Yeah.
like,
I don't even-
how
I
do
don't
you
even
feel
think it's a
about
paying
people?
aspect. I don't even think
You
it's a
don't
paying
think it's
aspect.
okay, that's
I think that people they're not fully committed. And it's easy to say that. It's easy to trick yourself in the mind. Like, I bought a course, I'm committed.
yeah.
And then you don't do the course. You're not
How many
committed.
people that reach out to you that have that initial consult and then you're and they say, I want to move forward in the process, and you send them the next step in the process and then you never hear from them again?
Oh, that's the bulk majority. Bulk majority because
Wow.
I provide the free consultation, And I'm like, hey, the next step isn't even cost you anything. The next step is me getting more information about your situation.
It's just taking the action and
taking
filling
action
out
to
the
fill out
information.
a form to give me your information.
How long does the form take?
Form takes, I've seen people do it in 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. So if you are dedicated and you're like, okay, I'm going to set aside 20 minutes to get this done. I said I wanted Brandon's help. I'm going to do this. But you're saying the majority of people don't even make it to that step.
Correct.
They made it to the step of I want the consult.
Yes.
But then that's where it falls off. Why?
100%.
Why?
It's hard. Well, like I said, I think
Is it putting the
change
numbers
is
on
hard.
paper?
No, change is hard for people.
Yeah, change is hard.
Change is hard for people, and also in your finances, you become vulnerable.
Very.
And even though I say this is
You're like money naked.
it's a judgment-free zone, but we've all made mistakes, and some people are like, I don't want to show them my mistakes. Or people try to wait till
But
they're
guess what? You
people try
can't-
to wait till they're perfect to come to me.
Oh yeah, but that
That's-
doesn't make sense
that's-
because
no,
you
that's
don't go to the
not what I'm here
trainer to
for.
get, after you've already got the six pack. That
Yes.
doesn't make
and
sense.
I'm not judging you because I've made mistakes as well, and I'm going to make mistakes in the future.
Yeah.
But people need to be real with themselves. I'm not knocking courses because there are 100% great courses out there, and there are people that are 100%. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
But that is not, from my experience,
I would
the
much
bulk
rather
majority of
be
people.
like, hey, I'm going to meet with Brandon every week for 6 weeks to get my shit together
I always say
and
the-
get it done.
I always say the first
Then
thing
a
people,
course.
I always say the first thing that people need to realize is be real with who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Are you actually going to?
Are you disciplined enough?
to do it?
Or do you
And-
need somebody to hold your
And
hand?
majority of people are not, which is why majority of people would be much better served working with someone that's going to hold their hand and walk them through the process.
Hold them
and
accountable.
hold them accountable because let's just say hypothetically you bought a course a year ago and you haven't done anything of it. Imagine if you'd been working with me for a year.
Oh my gosh.
The progress you could have had. You're just delaying that progress.
That's a great call out. Well, and two, I think that self-pace, again, with our busy lives, for me, that self-paced thing, that doesn't work for me right now because, again, like you said at the beginning, I can just do it tomorrow. I can just do it the next day. I can just do it next week. Oh, next week I definitely will schedule some time.
Yeah.
Whereas if I had an appointment with somebody, I don't want to let them down. I've already paid. I want to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm getting my value. And yeah, finances are intimidating. Sometimes people think money is hard, et cetera, et cetera. Why don't you just take that leap and have somebody hold your hand through the process?
And this might sound mean or whatever, but like I know some people are always like, oh, I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to reach out to you. Stop telling me that if you're not going to reach out to me. Because in all honesty, it doesn't hurt my feelings. It doesn't make me feel bad because I'm still going to make sure our finances are straight.
Right.
It's you that's missing out.
We got our wills,
It's
we
just-
got
yeah,
our
it's just me
trusts, we
being
got our
honest.
bank accounts,
You
we got
keep
our
saying you're going to
investments.
reach out to me. If you don't, like, keep saying it to me all you want. It doesn't change because you haven't done it.
Right.
So like, instead of telling me you're going to reach out to me, just reach out to me or don't say anything.
Act or keep it moving,
just being
y'all.
Because and I'm telling you, because when I hear people say it to me, I'm like, okay, bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what I think in my head. I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
Honestly.
When you slide
'Cause
into my calendar, I will believe you.
Because most people who I work with didn't say they were going to reach out to me. They just reached out to me.
Right.
They didn't preface it beforehand.
I wonder how many people, percentage-wise, say, I'm going to reach out to you. I've been meaning to reach out to you. Oh, yeah, I need to schedule something. And then you don't hear from them.
Majority.
Yeah. Wow. See, I told y'all he's got a lot of things to rip and rant about, y'all. This is going to be a new segment we're doing because he loves this. This is what we talk about when I'm cooking dinner,
This is me at home.
unloading the dishwasher, getting the kids in the bathtub. These are our conversations. So y'all need to just hear them because they're good. They're good.
Yeah, let us know what you think about it.
Send us your topics.
The good and the bad.
Sugar
Yeah.
Daddy Podcast, yo. Learn how to make them pockets grow. Financial freedom's where we go. Smart investments, money.